One, one, test, test. Okay, I still have 8 minutes to start of my session, so I have some time for funny stories. If you come to an event and you have problems with memory, so you don't know where are you. So you would like at least know if you are in Eastern Europe or Western Europe, or if you are in a Slavic country. Then, point one, if they serve a beer in the morning, then 99% that you are in Slavic country. So at least you can detect this one. Also, one thing that Vladan mentioned, that unfortunately Ruben cannot make it to have workshop on Gatsby. And if you are sad about this, let me know. We can talk about Gatsby and Drupal somewhere between other sessions, because we also have some experience in Gatsby, and we have even a production website ready with Gatsby. So I'm not, let's say, a superhero in Gatsby and Drupal, but I know something, so I can share our experience, our pains with you. So, moving Drupal forward by bringing new life into your local community. And the main word here is local. This is famous painting, how it's called in English, Barge Howlers on the Volga. It's by Repin, who is famous Russian painter, and it shows poor people that move barge upstream. So as you can see, they are not super happy. They are pretty tired, and I would say that trying to build a community often feels like this, like you're a barge hauler and you need to fight for every step for making your local community bigger for one man, another man, etc. But it's very important. But to start with, a few words about me. My name is Yauhen Zenko. I'm living in the Netherlands right now, but originally I'm from Belarus. And I try to do a lot of things for the community there. So I'm organizing with my fellows user groups. So we have meetups, contribution events, parties. Also, this year we started with DrupalCamp Belarus, again after 5 years break. And basically this is my passion right now, trying to work towards building the community, towards building stable community, sustainable community. And I've been working with Drupal since Drupal 5, and I'm still enjoying it. Not that I'm enjoying Drupal 5, but working with Drupal. And the rest, my hobbies are quite stereotypical about a man. I like football, I like beers, rock music, and hanging out with my friends. I also like colorful jackets and t-shirts. This is maybe the only difference. And you can find me on socials at Zeuti. Before we really start, I want to ask you to do one thing. If you can scan this barcode or go to bit.ly DC Pannonia, it will be small form. It's not that you are obliged to do this, but it will help us to draw a picture. If my thoughts are right or not, if the problems that we see in the community are actual for, let's say, Serbian community as well. So it will take you just 1 minute or 30 seconds. Resource unavailable. If you delete E letter in the end. Please do. There is a letter E in the end. You need to delete it and refresh the page. So this is very small form, and 2 questions are required, first and second, and you also can leave a name. Because if you leave a name, then you'll have a chance to get a very nice present. It will be randomly assigned to a person who filled in the form. So 30 seconds of silence that you can fill in the form, and then we'll continue. Before talking about practical things within the community, I would like to ask you a question. What do you think how Drupal is doing? Do we experience evolution or involution? Are we, let's say, developing or are we degrading? Because, like, why this popped up in my head? Because we historically have had a Skype chat, Skype group of everybody from Belarus interested in Drupal. And there was one guy, really annoying guy, because he never, let's say, took part in actual conversations. But from time to time, once in a month, he was like bright there, telling about Drupal becoming too niche, Drupal becoming too complicated, it's losing market share, it's not the top 3 CMS at all, and so on and so forth. So usually I'm not arguing in the internet since I'm 18. But then I just exploded one time and tried to ask him, okay, what's your experience? What's so bad? And it turned out that, let's say, the last time he tried doing something in Drupal was really early Drupal 8 times. So he was pissed off and never touched it again. So if you think that Drupal is evolving into the right direction, raise your hand. Still not everybody. But I think that, like as I see working with Drupal a few years ago, the Drupal becomes much better, much professional, and it basically competes with better products than earlier. What I really like that now we have the heartbeat, like Dries mentioned, the predictable releases. We all know what to expect from the system. We all know that there are new functionalities coming, new features coming, and the system only becomes better, more stable, and more flexible. Great out-of-the-box initiative that we can show without any development what system can do, how great it is, how easy to work with the system. Obviously, awesome functionalities in the core, media, awesome, JSON API, layout builder, and much more. And what is also great, when you're talking to business people, they also see a nice shift in marketing or positioning of Drupal. Why it's so important? It's important because, let's say, back 10 years ago, it was director of engineering who took the decision what system should be used for a website, right? And right now, in 21st century, in our years, it's people from marketing who takes the decision about the system to run the website. So this is super cool. And let's say when we see the market, when we have a look at the market, Drupal is now competing with Adobe products or with Sitecore. So right now, it's actually right to say that Drupal is for building ambitious digital experience, and it's awesome. So I'm proud of the system I'm working with right now. I know that it's just everything is possible with Drupal. We can build a spaceship and fly to the moon. But it should be the question, we are awesome. Do we have any problems, let's say, with Drupal or any concerns that makes us worried? Any ideas? I will show 2 slides. I didn't ask permission from Floris to quote him, but as we are in open source, I think he will not be mad at me. Floris made this slide, and he mentioned this in his session, that each year I visit DrupalCamp or Con, I meet the same people, all just as nice and great, but all got the 1 year older. And this is indeed unhealthy. So even without looking to the form submission results that you've done, I see that we don't have a lot of people who are like 16, 18, 22 in the room. So it actually already rings the bell that we need to do something to change this. Another quote, it's from Drupal Slack. It's not visible enough, but I will read it. The community leader from Norway, he mentioned, our biggest challenge is engaging and growing the community. Other person from Finland, he told that a lot of people work with Drupal, but they might not do it as a hobby. So their contribution activities are lower, they are not so excited to go to events, to meet each other, to talk to each other in just regular life. And it's actually very dangerous, right? So if things will continue like now, we will see the decrease in people contributing to Drupal, in people working with Drupal. Okay, the problem is there. The question is who should fix the problem? So we have several driving forces who actually moves Drupal forward. It's individual contributors, it is companies, it is Drupal association and local Drupal associations, and we have something that is called community, right? So I don't think that the problem of involvement or engagement in the community can be solved by individual contributors. I don't think companies will do this. And I don't think that Drupal association or local DAs can shift this thing, just because they have different priorities, different focuses. For example, yeah, companies care about their money, yes? They might involve new people in Drupal, but just because it will be a part of the business they are doing. They need 3 juniors, then they will hire 3 juniors, and maybe they will be involved in the community. DAs are usually focused on business, which is great that they talk about Drupal, they tell other companies about Drupal, they promote Drupal, and this is awesome. So I think that the only, let's say, driving force that can care and fix the issue with not a lot of people, not a lot of young people, not a lot of new people are with the community, is community itself. So when I think about what should be the mission of the local community, it should be keep existing community members connected, promote Drupal to and engage in it to Drupal other developers, non-developers, and students, thus ensuring long-term sustainability of the product, of Drupal as a product. So this should be the way to approach the problem. Community, local community, community of 10 people, of 20 people, of 30 people, 300, should think about how to create a healthy environment, how to create inclusive environment, warm environment to get people into it. So probably people who are in Drupal for quite a long time, they already heard few times the saying, come for the product, stay for community, right? So, and I think that it's quite hard for Drupal to compete on hype right now. So it's hard to expect that with doing nothing, we will have inflow of people, because right now there are so plenty of sexy words like Go, all these JavaScript frameworks, etc., whatever, machine learning, neural networks, etc., etc., etc. So we cannot compete on hype. So we need to attract people first and show that awesome things are possible with Drupal as well. So after this idea, I started to dig into understanding what is community, or which community can attract new members, which community can grow organically. I started simple. I opened the vocabulary and I read, okay, the traditional understanding of communities. Yeah? Community, a group of people living in the same place or having a particular characteristic in common. So this definition of community is obviously quite outdated. So it's in historic time, you belong to community where you was born, right? You belong to community of a village, of an area, or I don't know, or a nation. It was quite clear. But right now we are not born into communities. Right now we choose communities by ourselves, right? So it's different approach. So there is another definition which is more close to what we actually see as a community. The community, a feeling of fellowship with others as a result of sharing common attitudes, interests, and goals. So, yeah, maybe we can name community, but in real life, I have so many interests, I have so many goals, so many attitudes that this definition also make it very, very broad and vague. I don't feel, let's say, something that actually makes my heart beat in a different way when I read such definition. It's too vague. It still doesn't feel, doesn't create a relationship. So then I started to make a research. Okay, modern definitions of communities, how people do studies on communities, on organizing and growing communities. And I ran to a set of articles by Fabian Fortmüller. He calls himself Swiss community builder in New York. He's author of Community Canvas. It's like a framework, and also he's co-founder of Together Institute. And he gave a quite interesting definition of the community. It's very simple, but it looks very logical. A community is a group of people that care about each other and feel they belong together. So let's break it apart and talk about some parts of this definition. A group of people. In the end, a community always exists of people, right? That seems obvious at first, but right now we see so many abstract definitions, or the word community is used in so many abstract ways. International community, the Airbnb community. In the end, it doesn't give you an understanding of the people there, right? We are talking about real humans with real lives, real stories, real hopes. So this is always a group of people that care about each other. And in my opinion, this is the absolute core of the community. We are, as a community, we are not a group of strangers, right? Community is something about relationship, about care. So let's say when I talk about the Drupal community that I would like to see, it's something that close to me. It's like, feels like friend, family in a broad sense. In this case, I can talk about that it can grow because it builds trust. So basically, care about each other means that, yeah, we do care about these people who belong to this community more than to random strangers on the street. And this is where the magic of community happens. When people care about each other, they develop trust. And trust unlocks collaboration, cooperation, sharing, support, hope, safety, and much more. While if we look at the traditional organization, it would try to optimize performance towards trust. The community, organization optimize their performance towards goals, external goals, earning money. That communities should optimize for trust. Then the part feel they belong. Communities address one of the most fundamental human needs. It's a need to be loved, need not to be lonely, and need to understand that we belong somewhere. That, yeah, this is my family, these are my peers, these are my fellows that I want to spend time with, to share my knowledge with, to share my energy with, try to make their lives better. And obviously together, because this is a magic multiplier. Yeah, in the community, we can, in a community of 3 people, we can do really much more than these 3 people individually, because yeah, it just combines, it adds something extra to what you are doing. How do you like this? Would you like to belong to the community that is built on such principles? For me, the question is yes. So I would really like to see the community that we try to build in Belarus, in Minsk. I would like to see it built on this stone, on this understanding of the community. But also, it's never a charity. There are a lot of very pragmatic benefits of having a strong community, sustainable community, where people are really close to each other. It's obviously knowledge sharing and problem solving that we are doing during meetups or contribution days, encouraging and support. So it's really valuable when I come to the event that we are together, and if I have a problem or if I'm down, burnout, I get really nice support and encouragement with like people like you are sitting here in the room. It's very important. Also, very practical things. A community creates professional network, and it means that, yeah, if you are in a search of a new job, then most probably you'll search first in the community. And the broader the community, the bigger community, the better community, it's much more chances that you will just not switch to another technology or another system, and you'll find a job or another challenge within the stack that you already like. Yeah, practically right now it's Drupal. Also, it's important that if you have the community, strong community, that you have voice in Drupal in general, in Drupal ecosystem, because there are a lot of possibilities to communicate with other communities and community leaders, on Slack, on Drupal.org, and etc. And obviously, there are much more things to have from the community. Maybe you already think that my community is stable enough, it looks great, and we don't need to put extra efforts in building it. Then I have 1-minute test for you. You just need to answer 3 questions. How it's with self-identity. Do people state that they belong to this community? Do people promote that they are a part of this community? Do they recruit new members? Do they proud of being a part of this community? This is the first thing. Second thing, if they contribute together. Because if it's just a place to chat and drink beers, then it's probably not something stable, and it's based only on having fun together. And the third one, if it's not growing, then you have a problem. Any stable community should grow. And we can talk about the speed of growth. If it's 1 person per month, it's also important, or 1 person per year, it's great. But the community that is not growing have a problem on the long term. So, if these, let's say, ideas have a voice, let's say, in your heart, and you might think about, okay, maybe I should start building community in my city, in my village, because the community of 5 people is already a community. It's great to have this, let's say, network of 5 people if you are living in small town that can share the same problems, the same ambitions, and do something together. So I'll give several practical tips, what is very important to know or to do when you start. Tip and trick 1, you need to be inspired. You need to be inspired and make a decision. A lot of people, let's say, we try to talk a lot about contribution, about code contribution, non-code contribution, but one time, somewhere in a conference, with the private talk with your friend, you need to have this, feeling inside, inspiration. Yes, I want to do something. I want to make the change. I want to make the difference in Drupal as a product. And basically, after being inspired, you need to make a decision. And this is a slide from a talk of Jeffrey Maguire, a famous mustache guy, in DrupalCon Vienna 2017. It's a really great talk. It was about how you can convert or move your company towards contribution. So if you are interested in making your company working a little bit different, like start from just making money from open source, contributing, it's nice to see this session. And I'm not sure that you can read, but there are a lot of things why not to contribute? It's lack of time. People usually are super busy with their job things and family things. It's lack of knowledge. I'm not good enough in these things to start contributing, and just doubt. Should I? Can I? When? Etc. 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 But you always have an answer. You always have solution of this problem, and they are in green. Like communication, training, guidance, definition, what you want to achieve, etc., etc. But you can have more knowledge on this within this talk. I will share also a link to this beautiful topic, so you can follow. So, if you made a decision, you need to find a fellow or mentor, or ideally both, because it will help you along the way. You are like these guys who take the ship upstream. You will feel the same. You will have ups and downs, and let's say if you don't have a fellow who will support you and who can do something together with you, that the chance that you will fail is much higher. And it's not impossible to find people who will go this way together with you. You can try to inspire people in your company, in your network. You can try to reach out people in Drupal Slack, try to reach local community leads or Drupal event organizers in Slack, and they will always be happy to help you with advice, to support you, and make sure that your start has good results. Find funding, and it's very pragmatical, but it's also not impossible. You can sell this within your company. You can try to fund things from your own if you're so inspired. Obviously, you need to be pragmatic in this. You shouldn't aim for Madison Square Garden for your first meetup, right? Usually, you just need a place with comfortable temperature, with some devices, some pizzas, and of course some beers. But this is possible to find money for this. Find your first speakers. Sometimes I heard from people that I would like to start something. I would like to connect people, but yeah, we are too small. We know each other pretty well for a long time. We are only 5 or 10, and we are out of speakers, out of topics. Don't be shy. People are usually excited to share their knowledge. Reach out people on Slack. Reach out people on Twitter. Even if you think that this is impossible, this is possible. If you think that, okay, this is a Drupal rock star and he will never come to talk in the community of 5 people, most probably you are wrong. So, of course, they have limitations. They have, not a lot of time. But if you plan well, if you talk to them, share your story, then people will come to share their experience. They will come to share their inspiration, to share their knowledge, and you will both benefit of this. So if you think that they will not come from another country, just try to talk to them. Reach them out, and you'll find a way to be connected. Announce your event well in advance and reach as many people as possible. So basically don't force people to change their plans. Don't tell that, okay, we have a nice speaker and he is speaking tomorrow. So most probably you will fail. Reach as many people as possible. Also social networks, Drupal Slack, meetup.com is a nice platform for arranging meetups and making people meet each other. Then the next one, make the event happen and try to make it awesome. Because usually human being is an interesting creature, let's say. Usually people always notice fuck-ups and don't notice nice and beautiful stuff. So try to make it awesome, try to make it warm, try to greet people, to smile to people, and listen to what they want or what they expect from such events. Reward people for their efforts. Last year, the Drupal Norway, Drupal Norway community started or proposed a nice way to say people thanks for non-code contribution. So if the people arrange something for your meetup, or they just buy food for your meetup, make them visible. Tell them thank you using the credits. So it's always possible to create a community project on a Drupal org, create tasks there, and people will be credited for their non-contribution, let's say, non-coding contributions. And yeah, it will nicely show up in their profile. So this guy worked well and yeah, so helped to solve 4 issues in Drupal Belarus, let's say. And it's great. It's just great to highlight them, to say them thanks. Get the feedback and be open. You will not always have only, you know, big rounds of applause. You will have shit. And usually it will, you will feel pain because only you will know how much efforts you made to make this happen, right? But try to understand that even negative feedback is a possibility to make a step to the better community, let's say. Be consistent. One event, one gathering will not make your community. 10 events will not make you a community either, but it will create relationship, it will create connections. So it's very important to do something into recurring and not like, I'll do something once a year. Make it predictable, make it expectable. And the one, enjoy connecting people, enjoy changing their lives to the better, enjoy by creating, let's say, friends, enjoy making friends, and dream big. Nothing is impossible. It's impossible to start with a 2-person event, but it's also possible to, let's say, involve people who will be always thankful to you. Dream about actually changing people's lives. Dream about making them more happy. And I just wanted to show you a great example of the community that I think work very well. So we have neighbors in Ukraine, and they have meetups in 4 cities, and it's not just the regular meetups. They have quizzes, they have Drupal cafes, they have Drupal breakfast. So they are really connected. They are making friends with each other, and the network is really huge. And yeah, they were so successful that they had DrupalCamp with more than 400 people. But this is not the only one that I wanted to highlight. The most I wanted to highlight the way how they believe in the community, the way how they feel proud of the community, the way how they identify themselves with the community. So they created an organization on Drupal.org like Drupal Community. And every person who identifies himself or herself with the Ukrainian community, they put a badge. Let's say it's possible to select multiple companies that you work for on Drupal.org. So, and right now it's 255 people on Drupal.org who identify themselves as members of community of Ukraine. But it's not only about their identity that I'm a member, but they do great things together. So recently it was a resource published, DrupalContributions.org, and if you filter or if you sort on project support, you would see Drupal Ukraine community supports 130 projects, and this is just awesome. Yes, it makes me feel proud for them. So they are really doing great. If you will sort by credits, they are on number 25 among all other companies, but it's super. I would like, let's say, my community to be so productive and so helpful, helping in Drupal, let's say. So quick recap, Drupal is doing good technically. We have some problems in terms of, let's say, long term, how to bring new people into community. And the way we should address it is try doing a community right, with the right attitude, right approach, and right understanding what is the community and how it can be grown and replicated. Start today. Think about what you can do in your city. Start thinking about what you can do in your village. And maybe it will be something great from this. Yeah, and you get free hugs if you want from me. And the last final thought that I wanted to tell you, this is just a state from Edmund Burke. Nobody made a greater mistake than they who did nothing because they could do only a little. A little beginning can grow into something fantastic. Thank you.
You can ask them to have more questions, but these are some questions for you.
What can we do to bring Drupal beginners to Drupal camps? We need to approach universities. This is, I think this question is, has very clear answer. We need to go to universities. Let's say, I think when we have built strong community, strong local community with community leaders, so we already know some people who can we count on, who have the same passions than we do, who can put energy. We need to go to universities. We need to go there. We need to promote Drupal to students, to create, to organize Drupal training days. And yeah, when people start to show interest, we start engaging them. We talk to them, we get their contacts, we invite them to meetups, and the next, yeah, the obvious step after meetup, they will maybe come to DrupalCamp. So approaching universities is the only chance. So go there, talk to heads of the university that we want to show something to the students. We want to organize training. I know that it works quite well in Belgium, because they actually teach Drupal in the universities because of the historical reasons that Drupal is from Belgium, right? So we need to go to university and talk to students. That's the only way. And of course, provide them free tickets or tickets at a very low rate, because basically students don't have a hell lot of money, usually. How do you see sustainability of events happening in weekdays? A tradition in the USA, might it involve new faces if companies would invest their staff? It has pros and cons, right? It's if your company is great enough to let you invest your working time, which is quite expensive, into doing this, it is awesome. If they are not doing this yet, then watch a session from Vienna 2017, how to convert them into making this possible. Because on the first hand, managers usually think it costs money. We, as people from Drupal community, we need to go to them and sell them, show them that it will bring much more benefits to the company than comparing to money that that goes there. On the first side, it's usually, you think it's hell lot of money, right? So it's your 3 or 5 full days, which is already 10K euro for the company. Then you pay ticket, you pay hotel, so it's hell lot of money. But it would be great. I think it's nice. Nice when people can stay on the weekend with their families and spend learning something during the weekdays. But it's not always possible, right? So I think we need to have both. Do we have other questions? Yes.
But I don't have any problem. And they all have another problem. Companies, they don't hire junior developers. And all my students are people, they want to work with people, but then they find another job. And I'm losing them. So do you think?
Yeah, I think we should have unity leaders. Let's say people with a position that decide to get juniors. You know, and again, usually when you talk to people, when you show them numbers, they believe in numbers. And the cost of hiring a junior is so low, right? As for the first job, for the first years, it's very low. Let's say if junior will even make, I don't know, 50% of the time that he works payable or billable, or 30%, it already covers everything. So we should know who to talk with about, and we should create a nice story with numbers, because numbers you cannot deny.
Yeah, sure, but still those students, they find very well-paid jobs with other technologies. And I'm reaching out to many companies in Bulgaria, and it's not so much because of the money, but they want mid to senior developers, and if they can pay them less, of course. But it's still a problem. And
then we need to talk to the senior developers, inspire them with the same idea, right? We can show the senior developers the power of mentoring, right? Tatar can tell more about the power of mentoring, but we need to approach these people who are capable in influencing the decisions in the company. We need to talk to them first and let them spread the message to the managers that it's good, it's great to have them. We will also benefit from this. Thank you.
Is there any more questions? Is working? Yeah. Okay, great. So thank you, Zenko.
One moment. I promised a present for everybody who filled in the form. We have 36 responses. You don't see this. It's still loading. I just want to prove my first points about how we are doing in terms of age and the new people in Drupal. So, and it just even worse that I thought first, especially about new people in the community. Sorry. How long you are with Drupal? You see, 36% more than 5 years, 44% from 3 to 5 years. These are terrible numbers, right? So we have almost zero. Yeah, we have 10% up to 1 year, 13%, but these numbers are a little bit scary, at least what I would think. So I would like to see, I don't know, 25%, 30, 40% of people from 1 year to 2 years, but it's just the figures to help us think about this. And do I have still 3 minutes? Sorry. Okay, probably I'll do it later when I sit back in the break, but you will not go away without a present. I will use randomizer with notary. So thank you all for coming. I enjoyed talking for you and hope to talk to you somewhere in between.